The wind howled across the icy land, sharp as blades and colder than death. Captain Rourke tightened his scarf around his face and took another careful step forward. Snow crunched under his boots, each sound swallowed by the endless silence of the frozen border. No human had walked this far before. This land belonged to the Goratha, proud alien race who hated humans. They had drawn a line across the galaxy and warned, "Cross, and you die." But Rourke had no choice. He wasn't here for glory or war. His mission was simple, but dangerous. A piece of ancient alien tech had gone missing here years ago. If humans didn't find it first, someone else might. And that could mean disaster. He checked the signal tracker on his wrist. Still no reading. He sighed and pushed on. Suddenly, the wind stopped. Not slowly, but all at once. The kind of silence that makes your heart pound louder in your chest. Rourke froze. His soldier's instinct kicked in. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The ice beneath him cracked slightly. He stepped back, breathing slower now. And then he saw it. A dark shape in the mist. Massive, tall, breathing. Not just one creature. Two. The first was a beast like nothing he'd ever seen. Covered in white fur, glowing blue eyes, claws that could slice steel. It stood like a predator, still and waiting. On its back sat a figure. A girl, but not human. Her skin shimmered silver under the low light. Long white hair blew gently around her, and she wore armor made of bone and metal. A glowing blue spear was in her hand. She pointed it at him. "You shall not pass, human." She growled. Rourke raised his hands slowly. "I'm not here to fight." The beast took a step forward. The ground shook slightly. The girl didn't blink. "This place is sacred," she said. Her voice was calm, but dangerous. "You were warned." "No," Rourke said, his voice steady. "But I'm not here to take anything. I'm here to find something lost long ago. If I fail, many people will suffer." The girl narrowed her eyes. The beast let out a low growl. Rourke could feel its breath, now hot and heavy. "You expect mercy," she said. "But humans gave none when they came before." Rourke slowly reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. "This tracker. It's picking up a signal buried under the ice. We think it's ancient Tekroth tech. Left during the war, we want to return it, not steal it." The girl didn't move. The spear still pointed at his chest. Rourke didn't flinch. "What's your name?" he asked. Silence. "Then Velrin," she said. Rourke nodded. "I'm Rourke, Captain, Earth Defense Corps. I'm alone. No army, no backup. Just me." Velrin looked at the tracker, then at him. Her expression didn't soften. "You speak well," she said coldly, "but many liars have smooth tongues." "I don't ask for your trust," Rourke said. "Only a chance." The beast snarled louder this time. Its claws dug into the ice. Velrin held up her hand, and the creature calmed. "You take one more step," she warned, "and my beast will rip you apart." Rourke nodded. "Then I won't move," he said. "But I'm not turning back either." The cold wind returned, swirling snow around them. The mist thickened, but neither moved. For now, the border held them both still two enemies, one mission, and a choice hanging in the air like breath in the cold. The girl watched him with eyes like frozen fire. Somewhere, deep beneath the ice, something ancient pulsed to life, and the real story had just begun. The silence didn't last long. The beast lifted its massive head and let out a thunderous roar that echoed through the icy valley. Snow shook. From the cliffs above, birds, strange, sharp-winged things, screamed and flew into the sky. Captain Rourke didn't flinch, but his fingers curled tighter around his coat. ready for anything. The alien girl Valrin sat proudly on the beast's back, unmoved by the sound. Her silver eyes locked onto Rourke, sharp and cold. She didn't shout again. She didn't need to. The beast spoke for her now. Rourke took a slow breath. He had faced enemies before: machines, warlords, alien pirates, but nothing like this. The beast's muscles rippled under its white fur. Its tail, long and spiked like a frozen whip, dragged across the ground. Leaving deep lines in the snow, it began to circle him. Valrin didn't move, but her eyes followed every step Rourke made. She didn't want him dead yet, but she wanted to see how he reacted to fear. Rourke stayed still. He didn't run. That would be death. He didn't draw his weapon. That would be war. He only stood, his breath fogging in the cold. His voice calm when he finally spoke. "You raised a powerful creature," he said, watching the beast's glowing eyes. "But what is it guarding?" Valrin tilted her head, surprised. Most would beg, or lie, or scream. But he asked a question. "She does not guard," Valrin said softly. "She chooses who lives." "She?" Rourke asked, glancing at the beast. "Her name is Shark," Valrin replied. "Born from the ice, fed by fire. She answers only to me." Shark growled, a sound like thunder rolling under the earth. Her claws tapped the ice like drums of war. "You crossed into the sacred line," Valrin continued. "My people believe the land beyond is poisoned by human steps. I was raised to kill any who come here." Rourke nodded. "And yet you haven't." That made her pause, just for a second. Then her grip on the spear tightened. "I haven't," she admitted, "because something in you feels wrong. Not like the others. Not like the ones who brought war." A shark suddenly stopped circling. She sat, still and massive, beside Valrin. Her breathing slowed, but her eyes stayed locked on Rourke, waiting. Valrin leaned forward. "Tell me what drives you," she said. "Why walk into death alone?" Rourke looked down at the snow, then slowly back up at her. "My world is bleeding," he said. "The thing we're looking for, your relic, could heal it. Stop another war, save lives. I didn't come for conquest. I came for peace." Valrin didn't answer right away. She looked down at Shark. The beast didn't speak, but her body language changed just slightly. "She doesn't hate you, Valrin," whispered, half to herself. "That's rare." Rourke took a step forward. Shark growled sharply. Snow blew around her massive feet. Valrin stood now, spear pointed at his heart. One more step, and she won't hesitate. Rourke held up his hands. "Then I won't." "Move further," he said. "But let me ask you something." She waited. "Do you guard your land because you were told to?" he asked. "Or because you believe in it?" The question struck deeper than she expected. Her eyes narrowed, her grip on the spear unsteady for a second. She had trained since childhood for this duty, to guard, to fight, to destroy. But this was the first time her prey had asked her what she believed. The silence stretched between them like a tight wire. Then Valrin lowered her spear just slightly. "I believe," she said slowly, "in balance. And sometimes balance means asking the beast not to bite." Rourke gave a small nod. "Then let me earn my step forward," he said. Valrin stared at him, then turned to the beast. Her hand rose slowly. "Then pass the trial," she said. "Survive Shark's judgment and I will listen." The beast stood again, towering, growling low. Her claws scraped the ice. Her eyes burned like two moons. Rourke steadied his stance. No weapons, no running. Just him and the beast. The trial had begun. The air was frozen still, but Rourke's heartbeat pounded like war drums inside his chest. The beast Sherrick moved slowly now, not charging, not attacking, just circling again, studying him. Her glowing blue eyes didn't look angry anymore. They looked curious, almost testing. Valrin stood back, her spear lowered but her body tense. Every muscle waiting to see what would happen next. This wasn't just a test of strength, it was something deeper, older, tied to an alien. Code Rourke couldn't yet understand. Suddenly, the beast lunged fast, no warning. Her massive paw swiping inches from his face. But it didn't hit him. It slammed into the ground beside him. Cracking the ice like thunder, Rourke didn't move. Didn't even blink. Instead, he looked the beast straight in the eyes and whispered, "I am not your enemy," Sherrick growled. Low, deep in her chest, but didn't strike again, behind her. Valrin's eyes narrowed, but this time not in anger and recognition. She stepped forward, calling out to her beast in her native tongue. The sound like singing mixed with thunder. Sherrick stopped. She backed off, slowly, her breath heavy, steam rising from her jaws. Valrin walked toward Rourke. Her spear lowered completely now. She stopped just a few feet away, close enough that he could see the fine patterns painted across her armor symbols. "Of her clan, of her oath, you passed," she said. Simply, Rourke looked surprised. "That was it?" "No," she replied, her voice calm but heavy. "That was only the first step." She turned and pointed to the jagged peaks behind her, where the ice turned dark and blue. "Beyond this valley lies the Temple of Ice Roots," she said. "It holds the relic you seek. And the truth of my people." Rourke listened closely, sensing there was more. Valrin didn't look at him. Now she looked out over the land like she was staring into a memory. "When I was a child," she began, "I was chosen to be a guardian, trained to ride the beast. Trained to kill." Her voice wavered slightly, but she didn't stop. "I swore the oath before my mother's ashes, before the elders. I would never let a human pass. Never trust one. Never." She turned to face him again, and for the first time, there was no fire in her eyes, just conflict. "But now I see something I wasn't trained to see," she said. "You faced Sharrock without hate, without fear. That matters." Rourke didn't know what to say, so he said the only truth he had. "I've lost people too. In the war, I don't want more blood." Valrin nodded. "Then walk with me to the temple. But know this." Her voice sharpened again. "A warning now. The elders who still live in the temple. They will not welcome you." "I don't need a welcome," Rourke said. "Only a chance to prove I mean peace." The beast lowered herself beside them. Resting but alert, Valrin climbed back onto her back and looked down at Rourke. Then, "Walk in my shadow, human. But if you betray this chance, I will not stop Sharrock next time." Rourke nodded. "Fair enough." They began their journey across the frozen plain. As they moved, Rourke noticed how the land changed, the snow thinner, the ice darker, cracks glowing faintly beneath their feet. Something old was waking under this ground, something that remembered war and Valrin. She was no longer just a warrior. She was a protector, caught between loyalty and change, between oath and instinct. And beside her walked the one human who might change everything, but ahead. The true danger waited, not in the ice, not in the beast, but in the hearts of those who still believed all humans must die. The real test was just beginning. The cold wind bit at Rourke's face as he walked beside the beast. Every step forward took him deeper into alien land where no human had ever returned from. Sherrick's heavy paws crushed the snow with quiet power, and Valrin sat high on her back, silent but watchful. Rourke didn't speak. He knew this was not the time for questions. He could feel the weight of her gaze, testing, judging, wondering if she had made a mistake by letting him live. Hours passed. The landscape changed. Its tall frozen pillars rose from the ground like twisted bones. Strange glowing vines crept across the ice, pulsing slowly like veins. The air felt thicker, ancient, and full of memory. Suddenly, Velryn raised her hand. Sharrock stopped. She looked down at Rourke. "We are close," she said. "But before I lead you further, I must know your truth." Rourke raised an eyebrow. "Didn't I already prove it?" She shook her head. "The beast tests courage," she said. "But trust, that's different." She dismounted, her spear strapped to her back, and walked toward a cluster of jagged rocks. She placed her hand on a hidden panel. The ice hissed and shifted. A narrow tunnel opened in the wall, glowing faintly from inside. "You must enter alone," she said. "It's called the Cavern of Echoes. It listens. It shows your true self. If you lie, it screams. If you hide, it burns." Rourke stared at the tunnel. It was dark, quiet, and full of unknown danger. He looked back at Velryn. "You'll wait here." She nodded. "If you return alive, I will believe your words." Rourke took a deep breath, then stepped into the darkness. The air inside was thick, almost alive. As he moved forward, the walls pulsed with light and blue, and breathing like lungs. Strange whispers danced around him, voices in a language he didn't know, but somehow felt. Then, something even stranger happened. He saw himself, a projection, floating in the air, him in full armor, standing tall, blood on his hands. Battles he fought, lives he ended, mistakes he never admitted. The voice returned, but this time it spoke in English, a deep, echoing tone. "Why are you here, human?" Rourke answered without thinking. "To find the relic, to save lives." The projection shimmered, then cracked. A red light flared from the wall. "Lie," the voice boomed. Rourke flinched. "No, wait. I want peace, but I also want to be forgiven. For what I did in the war." The red light dimmed. The projection changed this time, showing him saving a wounded Gorth child during a battle, long ago. A memory he had buried. "You showed mercy," the voice said. "Few of your kind do." Rourke stepped forward. "That's why I'm here. To stop the next war before it begins." Silence. Then the wall split open again. The cold air returned. Light poured in. Rourke stepped out, splinking from the brightness. Velryn was waiting. Her face changed the moment she saw him. "You made it through," she said quietly. He nodded. "It wasn't easy." She looked at him for a long time, then finally reached up and touched her forehead with 2 fingers, an alien gesture of respect. "I trust you now," she said. "But they won't." Rourke frowned. "The elders?" She nodded. "They hate humans, even more than I once did. If you speak the wrong word, you die." Rourke looked up at the distant mountain peaks. The Temple of Ice Roots was near. "Then I won't speak," he said. "I'll let the truth speak for me." Velryn looked at him with new eyes, no longer just a stranger. Not yet a friend, but something more than a threat. She climbed back onto Sharrock's back and reached a hand toward him. "Come," she said. "The next step is harder. This time we face it together." And for the first time since he stepped onto the frozen border, Rourke smiled, because now he wasn't alone. The wind howled louder now, like voices from the past warning them to turn back. Rourke and Velryn stood before a wide, frozen cliff. At first glance, it looked like nothing but solid blue ice. But Velryn knew better. This is where it waits, she said, her voice low. "The relic?" Rourke asked. "No," she whispered. "The truth." She dismounted from Sharrock and walked to the cliff wall. Her hand moved slowly across its surface, brushing away layers of frost. Then, she pressed her palm into a small, glowing circle carved into the ice. The cliff groaned. Cracks spread like lightning. Then the wall melted not in heat, but in light. It shimmered away, revealing a dark stairway that led down into the earth. Rourke hesitated. Is it safe? Valrin didn't answer. She only lit the blue crystal on her spear and walked into the darkness. He followed. The stairway was narrow, winding, and strangely warm. The walls glowed with soft blue patterns that moved like rivers under glass. This place is older than my people, Valrin said as they walked. The elders say the world itself grew around this temple. It holds everything our ancestors feared and forgot. At the bottom, the stairs opened into a massive underground hall. Pillars of glowing ice stretched up into blackness. In the center stood a circular platform hovering in the air, unmoving, untouched. Rourke took a step closer. The air here was different, heavy, thick, with something more than time. That's it, he said, eyes wide. The signal? It's coming from that platform. Valrin nodded, but reaching it is not simple. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The pillars trembled. From the walls, ancient machines came to life. Small floating orbs lit with red eyes. Drones, defenders. They recognize you, Valrin said, as a threat. Before Rourke could speak, the orbs shot forward, firing beams of light. He dove behind a broken column. Valrin spun her spear and struck one midair, shattering it into sparks. They respond to fear, she shouted. Do not fear them. Easy to say, Rourke thought, dodging another blast. He reached into his coat and pulled out a flare. He threw it high into the air. The red light flooded the room, confusing the drones for just a second long enough. Valrin leaped into the chaos, her spear glowing bright. Each movement was clean, precise. She was not just trained for battle, she was made for it. Rourke joined her, grabbing a fallen drone and smashing it into another. The two of them fought like one being, side by side. Man and alien, warrior and protector. When the last drone fell, silence returned. Their breaths echoed in the chamber. Valrin looked at Rourke, her face covered in a thin cut from battle. He nodded at her. Thank you, he said. You're welcome, she replied softly. They approached the platform. Strange symbols floated above it, ancient Gorath language mixed with human code. How is that possible? Rourke whispered. Valrin stared at the symbols. Because this relic isn't just Gorath, she said. It's from before our war, before even the first contact. This was made by those who came before both of us. Rourke's eyes widened. A shared history. She nodded. One both sides chose to forget. He stepped onto the platform. Nothing happened. Then the symbols shifted, changing into images, not just code. Memories. They both watched as visions played in the air, humans and Gorath working together long ago. Building, creating, learning. A united past that neither side remembered. And then flashes of fire. Betrayal. The war. The relic hidden beneath ice sealed away as the last memory of peace. Rourke turned to Valrin. If we show this to your elders, and mine, they will deny it, she said, or destroy it. Then we protect it, he said firmly. Together, Valrin studied him. The relic's light reflected in her eyes, and for the first time, she smiled. Not out of pride or power, but something warmer. I never thought I would say this, she whispered, but I believe in you. Human, the relic dimmed. Its message was passed. Now it belonged to them. Not as a weapon, but a choice. They turned toward the stairs. But this time, they didn't walk as enemies. They walked as two pieces of a forgotten truth, ready to face a future that feared them both. The skies above the ice peaks had changed. A storm gathered not of snow, but of voices. High above, on the cliffs that crowned the sacred valley, ancient horns echoed through the wind. Valrin froze, her eyes narrowed. "They're here," she said. "The elders?" Rourke looked up, shielding his eyes. Dozens of shadowed figures stood in formation, their armor dark and heavy. Each one riding beasts smaller than Sherrick, but no less deadly. From the center of the cliff stepped an old, towering Goroth warrior. His face was cracked like stone. His fur was gray, and his eyes glowed deep violet. "That's Elder Thrall," Valrin said, her voice tight. "He was my teacher, and the one who gave me the oath to kill any human who crossed this land." The storm didn't wait. The elders descended. Sherrick growled low, sensing danger. Rourke didn't move. He stood beside Valrin, unarmed, holding the relic wrapped in cloth. They didn't come to fight, but the elders did. When the beasts landed, the ground shivered. Elder Thrall stepped forward, his eyes locking onto Valrin. "You have failed." "Your oath," he said, voice deep like a quake. "You ride beside a human. You carry forbidden light." Valrin did not flinch. He passed the trial. He faced Sharok. He spoke truth in the cavern of echoes. I saw his soul. Thrall's eyes turned to Rourke, burning with silent rage. "Then your soul is blind," another elder snarled. "Let the beast finish what you would not." Sherrick roared, but Valrin raised her hand. "No." She stepped forward. "I saw visions in the relic," she said. "Humans and Goroth. Together. Before the war. Before the lies. You buried that truth." "I uncovered it," Thrall spat. "That history is ash. It died for a reason." "No," Rourke said, finally speaking. "It was murdered. By fear, by pride." Gasps rose from the warriors behind Thrall, a human speaking before the council. "Insulting them, you dare." Thrall growled. "I dare," Rourke answered, "because I don't speak alone." He looked to Valrin. "She stands with me." Thrall raised his arm. "Then you both shall fall." But he never finished the sentence. Sherrick roared louder than ever before. The sound split the air. The ice cracked beneath their feet, and slowly the great beast walked forward, past Valrin, past Rourke toward Thrall. And then she bowed flat to the ground. Every Goroth gasped. Warriors stepped back. No beast had bowed to a human in the memory of their people. It wasn't just shocking, it was sacred. Elder Thrall's mouth opened slightly. His voice caught in his throat. Sherrick turned, walked back to Rourke, and sat beside him like a guardian. The message was clear. The beast, the sacred chosen creature, had judged the human worthy. Thrall stepped back. His power cracked in that moment like old ice under too much weight. "I do not accept this," he whispered, "but I cannot deny it. Vately, turn to him, then step aside, or the beast will remove you." Thrall gave a nod, a painful one. He raised his fist in silent command. The other warriors backed away. Rourke looked to Valrin. "We lived," he said quietly. "For now," she replied. "But peace is fragile, and truth has enemies." They began the walk back toward the edge of the border, relic in hand. The storm now behind them, for the first time in generations. A human walked freely through Gorath lands, protected not by weapons, but by trust. But far above, hidden deep in the snow-covered cliffs, someone else watched. Eyes cold, hands clenched. Not everyone wanted peace, and the final chapter was yet to be written. The sun peeked over the icy cliffs for the first time in weeks. Its golden light touched the snow, turning it silver. The wind no longer howled. It whispered. Rourke stood at the border where it had all started, the frozen line. Behind him stood a broken past, Before him, the uncertain future. Beside him, Velryn dismounted from Sharrock. She looked tired, but not weak. Her spear was strapped to her back, her armor scratched, her expression calm. She had not only survived, she had changed. The elders will not speak of what happened, she said. They will pretend it was a mistake. A rare moment. Rourke nodded slowly. But the beast spoke louder than their silence. Velryn looked at Sharrock. The giant creature rested quietly now, eyes half closed. No longer a weapon now, a witness. They had crossed sacred lines, broken laws written in blood. But they had found something no war could destroy. Understanding, you could stay, Velryn said suddenly, her voice soft. Live among us. Be the bridge. Rourke looked toward the human camplights blinking far in the distance. I can't, he said. Not yet. I have to return. I have to tell them what I saw. What I learned. She nodded. Then I'll wait until they're ready. Or until you return. He took a deep breath. Will they listen? Velryn smirked. They won't, at first, but stories spread. And beasts don't bow without reason. They'll ask why. Rourke chuckled. And what will you tell them? Tell them the truth, she said. That a human passed where none should. That he didn't conquer. He earned. That he faced my blade, my beast, and my doubt. And walked beside me. He looked at her one last time, then turned to leave. The relic was strapped to his back. Not as a weapon, but as proof. He walked slowly, each step heavy, but full of purpose. He had no idea how the human world would react. Maybe with fear, maybe with greed, but he would speak anyway. Because silence was how wars stayed alive. Velryn watched until he vanished in the white mist. Then she turned to Sharrock. He will come back, she whispered. Sharrock let out a low, warm growl, most like agreement. But far above, on the cliffs beyond sight, a smaller figure watched with cold eyes. Clad in dark armor, helmet hiding. Her face, she spoke into a device in her palm. They made contact. Peace is spreading, she said. A voice crackled back. Then we strike soon. The figure vanished into the snowstorm, because where one path ends, another always begins. And not all stories on peace.